Thanks all so much for coming once again. It's nice to see some familiar names and faces. We really do appreciate you coming back, especially at this weird time. Hopefully there won't be too many more online things. We should be getting back into the swing of being out and about soon. So keep your eyes peeled for more and more events out and about. But yeah, so I'm Laura, for those who don't know, and I'm one of the community engagement officers on this Brilliant Butterflies project. And the other is Sunita, who will be doing the talk tonight. For those who don't know, Brilliant Butterflies is a partnership project between London Wildlife Trust, Butterfly Conservation and the Natural History Museum. And we're in the process of creating around 40 new butterfly habitats in local communities around Croydon and Bromley. That's what we're doing on this project. We're also enhancing the habitat of our 5 current nature reserves that are in this area. And we are creating new habitats in unused or very nature depleted green spaces, such as grass verges and railway edges and playing fields and school playgrounds even, and trying to bring nature onto people's doorsteps. We're involving lots of local volunteers at all different levels, so we can leave these habitats in the hands of our local nature champions after the project is finished. Like I said, it's a 2-year project and it does end this August, so not very long left, but in that time already we've created about 25 new habitats in Bromley and Croydon, and soon to be a few more. The Natural History Museum is involved with this project, and they'll be sampling our reserves using groundbreaking technology known as eDNA techniques, or environmental DNA techniques, which will help to capture what insects are on our sites. And this is where we take a sample of the earth and analyse it for insects and wings and feces, for example, to work out what's on our site. And as mentioned before, we're also engaging with as many community members as we can in this way and out and about, hopefully soon, to get people excited about the project and to care about the nature on their doorstep. So yeah, obviously it has been a challenging time with the current climate, but with fun events like these, it hopefully helps to keep you all interested and engaged. So please do let us know if there's anything you'd like to hear from us, and your feedback is massively appreciated. So yeah, that's a little bit about our project. I won't ramble on any longer, and I'll pass you on to Sunita. If you have any questions, please do put them in the chat and we'll try and answer them as we go along or at the end. And we'll put a link to our website in the group chat at the bottom of this page as well, where you can sign up to our monthly newsletter or just have a look at what other events and stuff are on. So thank you very much, and over to you, Sunita.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen. Can everyone see that, Laura? Okay.
Yeah, can see that, no problem.
Brilliant. So, and okay, thanks for coming. So thanks for coming to our butterfly identification workshop. As Laura said, we are community engagement officers on the Brilliant Butterflies project. I'm Sunita, and let's get started. So, what to look out for? So, when you're looking for butterflies, what you need to look at. So first of all, we all know what a butterfly looks like, I hope, flying around in green spaces. So to identify particular ones, you want to be looking at quite a few different things, really. So the ground colour, so the base colour of the butterfly, what colour is it? Is it white or green? Things like that. Has it got spots or stripes or bands? Sometimes the butterflies have tips on their wings and their borders. You have a little look at that. And then their behaviour. What are they doing? Are they hibernating in the winter? Are they landing on flowers with their wings open or closed? That will define what kind of species it is, and also the time of year. So butterflies, some butterflies are around for a couple of months, some butterflies are around for a lot of the year, some are hibernating, as I said before. So checking the time of year as well is quite important to establish a species. So first up is, 1 second, okay. Sorry, I'm having a few technical issues. Right, ground colour. So there are quite a handful of base colours really. So is the butterfly white, blue, red, orange, brown, black, or green? So often butterflies will have a definite base colour or a ground colour. This green one here is the green hair streak. Lovely little butterfly. So look for the ground colour to start with, and then have a look. Has it got spots? Are there spots on it? Are there some eye markings? Let's see. So some of these species. Oh, technical issues. I seem to be missing some of my pictures here. Sorry about that. I'm just going to come out of this, and I wonder if me just switching my stop sharing, and I'll just turn my video off. Sometimes that helps. Sorry about this, bear with me.
Still quite haven't got the hang of Zoom, have we? Even after all, so faffy and fiddly. Okay, so as you can see here, let's just look at these pictures here. So as you can see here, so are there some spots? So some of these, this butterfly here is a small copper. It's got quite a few spots on its wings there, or it could have singular spots, like the meadow brown here, and then the wall down here. So the meadow brown has got it on its open wing, and then the wall, you can see it on its closed wing. So they're like kind of larger spots here, with a spot in the middle as well. And then are there eye markings? So there's one particular species here that has a eye marking, is a peacock. So if you're looking for things like that, spots and eye markings. And then tips, so black tips. These are quite important in our white species. So the large white up here in the left-hand corner, it's got a very distinct black tip here that you can see on the inside of the wing, very dark. Whereas your small white has got a very faded tip here, so quite different. And you can see that the spots as well are very different, very prominent on the large white. And then you've got your green vein down here, still got its black tips, but it's got white breaking out in there as well. So that definitely defines it. And you can see these kind of black veins running through, and they're green on the underside. Also the orange tip, believe it or not, does have black tips. Closed wing here, the female has a very black tip around this area here. The male obviously has orange tip. So the black tips are really important for your white butterflies. I'm just going to try and play this again. Okay, so bands. Has your butterfly got bands? So most butterflies don't have bands. The red admiral here has got a very striking red band coming down its wing there, and it's also got the smaller white band on it as well. Other butterflies have quite short bands at the top of their wings, like this small tortoiseshell here. So only these two species really have the bands. So once you start to look at all these features, like the whites will have the black tips, some of these species will have the bands, a couple of them have the eyes or the spots, only one of them has the eye. So you start to break down which species it could be then, just by identifying these different markings. Behaviour as well, like I said before. So
does the butterfly that you've noticed, does it rest on flowers with its wings opened or closed? And also, is it just resting on a flower? Some butterflies like to rest against walls to really bask in the sun with their wings wide open. And also here pictured on the right hand side is the peacock butterfly. So they hibernate over in the winter. This was found, actually, I went camping and I went to a toilet made out of just wood. It was like a hole in the ground with wood around it. And I saw lots of peacocks hibernating in there, so that they'll find like dark places that are often unused by people because it was in the winter. And you'll often find them hanging from your shed or your garage or something like that. So dark places. And the time of year. So the general guides work most of the time, but some species do have multiple generations. So orange tip, so they only appear from May to June only. So you'll only see them very short period of time during the year. So keep your eyes peeled in May and June for these guys, but you won't see them any time of the year again. So this is the female here. We can see the black tips that I was talking about before. So if you do see a white butterfly with black tips and the small dot there flying past, and you see it in August or September, then you'll know that it's not an orange tip because you've already worked out that it's May and June only. And then the small white is has two seasons, if you like. So they fly in May and June, and you won't see them through July, and then you'll see them flying again in August and September. So if you see what you think is a white butterfly in July, you know that it's probably not a small white. Other things to look out for. So what else can you look out for when you're identifying a butterfly? So wing veins, the shape of the wings, and the size of the butterfly. So the three pictures we've got here, wing veins at the top there, this is one of the only species that has these wing veins on a closed wing. This is the green vein, one of the whites. So again, if you see its wing open, looks kind of different. Once you see that wing closed, you'll see these veins. So you're looking for that as a key. The shape of the wings down on the bottom here is the comma butterfly, known as a comma butterfly because it has that small white comma, like a comma mark on its wing there, if you can see that. But that has a very, very distinct shape wing. No other butterflies like it. Most other butterflies have fairly rounded wings. So yeah, comma. It looks like a strange jigsaw piece. And also the size of the butterfly. So the last picture here on the right is a small blue butterfly, really, really small. It's one of the rare species what our project is based around, really trying to get more habitat for this species. Yeah, they are a tiny little butterfly, 22 millimeters. So that's what you're looking for as well, defining the size. So we're going to look at identifying some of the more common species. Small white. Okay. So the dark tips don't extend far down on the wings, as we saw earlier. And they're quite faded as well, that dark tip on the wing there. And the spots aren't very strong. They do definitely have that spot in there, but they're kind of a faded grey colour. The yellow underneath. And they're most often found around gardens and allotments. There's the yellow underneath there. So quite distinct when they're landing in their closed wing. They have 2 generations per year, as we said before. The second generation are often darker. So those dark areas on the tip there and that spot, they'll be a little bit darker, but they're still not as dark as the large white. And there you go, there you can see that large white has got that really defined tip there on its upper wing, and those spots are much, much darker. And the black tips to the wings extend far down, so you can see that there's like a shaded area there going down towards its thorax and its head. Spots are really strong, very dark, very defined, and you can see those in flight as well. You often can't with the small white. And males and females slightly different. So there's no spots on the upper wings in the males. There should be a picture. And they're often found in gardens and allotments too. They too have 2 generations per year, and again, the second generation is slightly darker. So at the top there's the picture, and you can see that on the closed wing, the male does not have those spots, but it's got that very, very strong tip again, and you can see that black edging on the wing going all the way down to its body there, whereas the small white didn't have. Another one of the whites, the green veined, similar to the small white, faint dark tips to the wings, but the tips are broken by the white in between, as you can see here in this picture. So you've almost got the lines, the vein lines coming in, and then the rest of the wing is giving you that kind of white gap in between. And then they're very distinctive on their underwing. You can really see those veins. So when it lands, you can try and get close to it and have a look, and then you can define whether it's a small white, large white, or a green vein, because they really, really stand out, those veins. They're kind of more grey, I would say. So green veined is kind of a funny name for it, but sometimes when the sun catches it, they look really, really green. And there's another picture of it with its underwing, very, very distinct. Still got that spot, and it's still got that dark tip, but the veins are really, really prominent. They also have 2 generations, and they're mostly found in natural habitats, so woodland edges and riverbanks. Laura, there's someone waiting to be admitted, and I can't seem to do it because I'm sharing my screen. Would you mind admitting someone?
No problem, I've admitted them.
Okay. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thanks. So they're mostly found in woodland, so you won't catch those. You won't really see those in your garden or on the allotments. So they're not as common in your common areas. The orange tip, another one of the whites. This is the male, very, very distinctive, the male there. You can see why they get their name. Very, very orange tip. Still got your dark edges there on your wing. It's more to the forefront of the wing. And you've still got your little dot in there as well. And they've got quite a grey body as well. This is the female, minus the orange tip. So she's got all the other similar features, but also could be mistaken for some of the other whites. Only has 1 dot though. And they're very distinct, mottled, green underneath. Both the sexes have that really, really like camouflage kind of print. And they have 1 single brood, so they only make once a year. So they peak in May, so they'll be out very soon. Now we're getting on to some of the browner ones. This is the ringlet. As you can see, the ringlet here has rings on it. Obviously you have to get quite close to see those, but when they land and they open their wings, you can see the small rings. They're very distinctive. They're very dark in flight. They're much, much darker than your other butterflies that you'll see on meadows. The colour kind of fades to a brown when they open their wings. The eye spots are variable, so they can be hard to see on the upper surface, but they're quite distinct. And they're clear on the underside. They also have 1 brood that peaks in June. And there's your underside there. So you've got those real ringlets there in a row. So once your butterfly lands, closes its wings, which this one usually does, that's quite a rare photo at the top there. You've got those ringlets there. No other brown butterfly has that many. Sorry, I just had a little bit of water there. So they are found in places with long, lush grasses. So meadows, really, overgrown meadows and rough areas on the side of parks and things like that. Meadow brown, another brown. When we were talking earlier, we were talking about looking for eyes and spots and things like that. And meadow brown has got a very distinct kind of dark spot there with a white dot on the inside. It's got that nice kind of orangey colour as well. When it's flying, the upper wing is quite brown, so it could be mistaken for ringlets, but once they land, very distinct there, very definitely not a ringlet. Very, very orange on the underside, and they generally nearly always close their wing when they land, so very easy to identify. Single dark high spot with one dot, white dot in the middle there. The upper surface with variable orange marks and an eye spot as well. There you go. That's the upper wing. So again, you can definitely see that orange on the bottom wing and on the top wing, and that brown spot with a white. And they are from June until August. They are quite abundant. You can see these a lot if you go to a grass meadow. You can see these a lot on our sites. There's loads of them. They're found in places with long grass and in full sun. Most butterflies love the sun. Generally, if you are going on a butterfly walk or doing a butterfly survey, try and pick a sunny, warm day. They definitely won't come out in the rain. They hate it. They're very delicate. They don't like being bashed about by raindrops. And if you get a sunny day, you're more likely that they'll settle and bask, so it'll be much easier to identify them. Gatekeeper is another brown, often confused with the meadow brown. You can see why. It's got that orange kind of upper wing there. And on the underside, you can see that dot, but it's got two white dots in there. And it is much, much smaller butterfly. And that second wing there is very kind of camouflagey, mottledy. So it's slightly different to your meadow brown, but also a lot smaller. And the adults really love marjoram and bramble. So generally, if you've got those, if it lands on a marjoram or a bramble and it's quite bright and orange, you're looking at a gatekeeper. These are also quite abundant as well. You'll see large numbers of these. They only have one generation from July until August. So again, it's all about when you see these butterflies as well. And that's it, that's on the upper side there. So you've got a lot more orange on that upper side there. And that dot, you can see that black dot with the white dots inside. And then you've got another one that looks similar. Oh my goodness, aren't they all looking similar? They're all rolling into one with that orange wing and that black dot at the top there. But you can really see the difference in this one. You've got that grey tip at the end of the wings there. You have got that black dot with the white in there, but it is tiny. It's a tiny, tiny butterfly, small heath, half the size of the meadow brown. So even though we're looking at these pictures thinking, oh my goodness, they all look like each other, it's the size as well and the time of year and what they're doing. So they're bright orange in flight. You can see that lower picture there. They're a bright orange flash, tiny little bright orange flash. And then when they land, you can see that the underside there is very grey. So you haven't got that dark orangey or that kind of camouflagey look that the other two had. You've got that light grey. And they'll nearly always shut their wings at rest. So you very rarely see that upper side at rest. So that's quite a rare picture. As you can see, I had to steal that off Getty Images because we didn't have one in our database, because it's very difficult to catch that butterfly with an open wing. So heath name is confusing because you generally don't find them on the heath. They're found in lots of grassy places. So again, in meadows, we get them a lot on our nature reserves where the grass is longer and scruffy areas. And they're around from May to September. Now, you think that all of those browns were looking similar. You wait till we get to the blues. So this is the common blue. There's the male there, nice bright blue, white edging around its wings. The males are the most conspicuous because they fly more. The females, lazy, should we say? They don't really fly around very much. Males are very, very bright, that really bright blue there. Wings are finely edged with the black and white, so you can see all the way around is white, and then you've got these little black kind of edges around the blue, and then you've got the white edging, very distinct, very close up there. A thin white line, and then little edges, little dots, black. Females are variable, but they're brown. They have a hint of blue, and they can have some orange patches, but they're very, very different to the male there. I don't know where the male picture's gone. But you can see that the female there is very, very different. You wouldn't actually call her a common blue. She's got that blue there in the middle section, but yeah, very brown with those orange tips, those orange bits in their wings there with the little black dots in them. But you don't often see the females flying around, or you might catch a few basking. They fly from June to September, and they're found in short grass, and they like short grasses and short wildflowers. Then we've got the holly blue. So the top picture here is what you normally see the holly blue. This is what most holly blues do look like, very similar to the male common blue. So you've got blue upper side there with the white edging, but you've got quite a distinct black area in that upper wing there. And then this bottom picture underneath here, you can see that they can actually look slightly different. They've got this real black tip on their edges there, really bleeding into the rest of the wing. I haven't actually seen any that look like that, but a couple of my colleagues have seen ones with this really, really dark edging. So butterflies like to just mix it up a bit and keep you guessing. There's the white, there's the close-up of those white edges. You've got that definite darker edge there, you see. But then the holly blue, the best way to tell the holly blue is its underside. As soon as it closes its wing, it's just got this pale, pale blue underside, which none of the others have. The others have quite a colourful kind of orangey dotty colour. This is just pale blue with a few black spots. So as soon as it lands, you know you've got your holly blue there. And they're often found on holly and ivy. So common blue or holly blue. So you're looking at the upper wing. If they land, they look very, very similar. Remember? Very similar there, but you've got that wing edge. But then you've got the underwing, very, very distinctly different. So your underwing of your common blue here, you've got those orange flecks and then these white circles with black dots inside. Holly blue, very, very pale. That's it, no other colour. So quite easy to identify the two. And then we're going to throw the small blue in there as well. Now, small blue is more grey than blue, as you can see here. And they are actually all pretty much like that. There's no anomalies. They have got this like lovely sheen of blue dust on them. They are tiny. So your common blue is at least a couple of centimetres, probably a bit more. This little tiny one is like a fingernail. It's very, very small butterfly. And it lays eggs on kidney vetch, very particular species of flower. They're quite a rare flower. And most butterflies are quite fussy. They lay eggs on a particular species of flower, and their caterpillars will eat that flower, and then the adults will only feed on the nectar of another different flower. So if you start taking these flowers out of the ecosystem, you will lose the butterfly because they cannot adapt. They will only eat this particular species. So kidney vetch is quite a rare chalk grassland plant. So these generally are only found on chalk grassland. So we've been planting a lot of kidney vetch on our project to encourage, this is kidney vetch here, to encourage this small blue butterfly. Populations are very, very low of this butterfly. It is conservation priority. It's very rare. One of our nature reserves in Croydon, Hutchinson's Bank in New Addington, is one of the best sites in the whole country to see these little blue butterflies. They are around from late May to June, and then a second breed again in August. So yeah, very, very sweet little butterfly, but very, very rare. Another small butterfly, my favourite actually, the small copper. So small copper is very distinct here, very bright orange with the dots. We saw it at the beginning there when we were talking about spots. It's got lots of black dots on its wing, tiny little butterfly, again, very small. The males are often quarrelsome, so you'll see them kicking off in their territory. They'll chase anything off their flower, they'll chase anything away from their females. Tiny little orange burst of anger in the air. Small, yep, 26 to 36 millimeters. Very distinctive upper wing, very, very bright. So when they land, they often land upper wing and under wing showing. But you've got that definite dark definition around the edges there of your top wings, and then very dark lower wings there with this brilliant orange, like curly edging on the bottom there. Very striking. They love to bask in the sun on hillsides. So our chalk grassland verges are perfect for this butterfly. We get a lot of these on our reserves. And they're around from May until early October. Lovely little butterfly. Green hair streak, another little one. Very colourful, quite rare, this one. We do get them on our nature reserve, very distinct. They are the only green butterfly. There's several green moths around, but they're usually flying at night. We do have some day moths, but so if you see a green butterfly, you're pretty much guaranteed that it's a green hair streak. Again, relatively small, 27 to 34 millimeters. Beautiful little butterfly. The wings are green underneath and they're brown on top. Usually sit with their wings closed, so you'll often see them like this. Very distinct white streak there on its wing, where it gets its name from, that hair streak. They're also quite aggressive. They'll chase off other insects, other butterflies and other flies, hoverflies, things like that. Found on a range of habitats, including our chalk grassland. There you go, you can see the size of it there. That's not a giant finger, that is a tiny butterfly. Very pretty little face, and they've got great antennae as well, stripy all the way up, and then that orange dot on the end. Marbled white. There is no other butterfly like it. This butterfly cannot be mistaken for anything else. It is marbled white. It's got black and white wings, and yeah, I mean, it says what it says on the description, really. They are the only butterfly that looks like this. They fly around in July. They prefer unimproved grassland and wildflower meadows. These are abundant on our sites. When we do our surveys, we are like marbled white, marbled white, marbled white. They're beautiful. They're quite a big butterfly compared to the other smaller ones that we were just talking about. Ooh. Oh, what's she done? But yeah, very, very distinct. So, so I would highly recommend, if you were going out in the field to identify butterflies, I would recommend having a FSC guide. And when I put my video back on, I'll show you the guide. And it lists all of the butterflies, and it shows you their underwing as well. So obviously, I mean, I've recorded this and I'm going to put it on YouTube. So you can always refer back to this, but it's always good to have a guide with you. You can take a book as well. There's some good books out there. These are fold out guides, and they're super. And if you wanted to record butterflies, which is, super good for us, then please do go out and record butterflies. Why do we record butterflies? So why you see people with nets catching them and ticking off what they've seen? So we record them because we want to understand butterfly populations and what we can do to improve them. So we have lost 76% of our butterflies over the last 50 years. It's the same story as we have all of our wildlife, really. But particularly butterflies have taken quite a big hit because they're quite sensitive to environmental changes and loss of habitat. And as I mentioned before, these very specific flowers that they like to eat and that they like their caterpillars to eat. So yeah, it's really important for us to understand how many you have or haven't seen. I mean, if you don't see anything, that's just as important as seeing something, because then we can work out why the butterflies have declined in that particular area. Is it because of habitat loss? And then we can work around that. We can do conservation work to benefit these butterflies, like we're doing on this project at the moment, building new habitats and building them in local communities so people can get involved in surveying and having nature on their doorstep. And also giving these butterflies more of a chance to have bigger populations, have various areas to lay their eggs in. So, not one particular species is overpopulating one area, etc. So it is important to record butterflies, as it is all kind of species, really, so we can make things better for them. Butterflies are indicators of climate change and other changes. So they really like hot sunny days, like I mentioned before. So if we do start getting wetter in this country as the climate crisis continues, then we will lose a significant amount of our butterflies. So, like yesterday we had a boiling hot day in March. And that's strange. Lots of insects will have come out, and then we're going down to being 8 degrees or something again by the weekend. And butterflies don't like that temperature, so some of them may have come out of hibernation, and it's adjusting to all these different environmental changes. So it's about taking nature's pulse, really. So just seeing how nature's getting on. Is the pulse weakening? Is it going faster? How is nature actually adapting to all of these different habitat change, climate change, all different things like that? And also, there she is, Joanna Lumley, with her butterfly spotter sheet. It's good for us. It's good for us to get out in nature. It's good for us to look at different species and get out and breathe in fresh air and just be surrounded by nature. It's really, really good for our mental health, which I think is super important at the moment. We are allowed to go out now, or we're allowed to even meet a few friends, I think. So butterflies are starting to come out now. They're coming out over April and May. We've got a few species out already. And then by May and June, the butterflies will be everywhere. And it's such a lovely they're such a lovely species to be around. They're very delicate, very pretty, very colourful. So yeah, it's good for us and it's good for them. So the Brilliant Butterflies project are butterfly recording objectives. So we're looking to monitor the abundance of our butterflies on our London Wildlife Trust nature reserves. We've been surveying them for years and we're continuing to survey them. We are adapting our habitats on these nature reserves. We're making more areas that are suitable for butterflies. So we're just continually monitoring and changing the way we work. We're trying to understand butterflies in urban spaces around South Croydon and Bromley. And we're monitoring butterfly colonisation at new habitat creation sites. So as I said, we're creating, well, as Laura said, my colleague said, we're creating 40 different habitats in and around Croydon. So we're monitoring them and we're seeing if the butterflies are going to move in and colonise those areas. And we want to train new volunteers. So we want to train people to become citizen scientists or nature's heroes. We just want people to have a new skill set, something fun to do. Go out and monitor some butterflies. You don't have to do it all the time. It's just something nice to do. So when you go out and record your butterflies, you want to choose your site. So what is urban? So we're monitoring urban butterflies. Urban is parks in the cities, botanic gardens, even in your own private garden. Brownfields. Now that picture there is brownfield. Some of you may not know what a brownfield is. Brownfield is a disused space where there would have been some kind of building or car park or something like that, but it's just been left to kind of rack and ruin, if you like. But for us, they're actually really good sites for nature. They're perfect. I mean, look at all the grasses and the wildflowers that are popping through the concrete there. These wildflowers are very specific wildflowers that don't need rich grassland. They need this really nutrient poor concrete kind of environment, and they will burst through. They will flourish in these areas, and you'll often find that these kind of areas are abundant with wildlife, especially butterflies. And then obviously butterflies will bring birds will bring foxes, etc., etc. Allotments are great, obviously, because we're growing lots of vegetables which have lots of yummy flowers for the butterflies. Cemeteries are fantastic places for all sorts of wildlife. Again, wildflowers will be popping up everywhere in the concrete. These areas are often quiet as well, so they're not much footfall from humans. So wildlife kind of loves those kind of areas. And school grounds. Now, school grounds are often just green fields, but sometimes around the edges, there's rough areas that have been forgotten about, some trees, some long grass, and these are great for insects. We've actually been creating butterfly habitats on school grounds around in Croydon and Bromley. So so to bring those butterflies out from those edges and bring them out into the field a bit more. So how do you do a butterfly survey? So you've chosen your urban green space. So you want to visit monthly, really, from mid-April to. Now I can't see the end of my screen there. I'm thinking it might say. What does it say, Laura? Mid-April to
August.
August, there you go. It's just cut off the end of my screen there. So that's right. So you want to go out and you want to monitor monthly if you can. The weather should be good, like I said before. So it needs to be warm and sunny, not rainy and grey. I mean, you will get butterflies out on grey days if it's warm. Just the sun is just so much better if you want to try and catch abundant butterflies. Take a notebook with you, some kind of recording form, or if you've got a smartphone, you can record with the iRecord Butterflies app. I'll come on to that in a bit more detail. And record whatever butterflies you see. So you can walk around the area if you like, which is what we call a transect. So if you've got a small area in a green park, you can walk around it as long as you do that same area every month. Or you can just stand in one place in the middle of your wildflower meadow or in your garden and just look around and record for 15 minutes and just pop down what you see, or record for an hour. It's entirely up to you. But as long as you do the same thing every month. So the newly created butterfly habitats that we're putting around Bromley and Croydon. If you wanted to do those at the moment, they are just being planted, so they probably won't establish until next year. But what you could do at the end of July, which would be great for us, is just go there and stand there and see if anything's coming towards it. I mean, like I said before, if you see nothing, that's perfect. This is baseline data for us. So if there's nothing there initially, and then you go next year and you start your season from April till August, and there's butterflies coming, then we know that our banks have been successful. We've gone from there being nothing last year when you had a quick look and there was nothing around, to having butterflies there already. And then you can submit your records via the iRecord app or online via the BNM, the Butterflies for New Millennium, or you can send a recording form into London Wildlife Trust. So the iRecord app is free. You can get it on Android and Apple. You just search for iRecord Butterflies. And it's a really useful tool for when you're on the go. So when you're out in the field, so you haven't got your pen, you haven't got your piece of paper, you've just got your smartphone, which a lot of people have now. And you can just pop it straight into the app here. So you've got these 3 buttons. iRecord, that's just for single records. So if you see a butterfly and you're like, oh, I think that might have been quite a rare one, you just pop it in really quickly and you've registered your butterfly. This is for multiple records, survey an area. So this is when you do your April to August once a month. And once you click on that, it takes you onto another section of the app, and then you put in where your location is and things like that. It's really user friendly. It's literally, you press the button, you put in where you are, press another button, you put the species, you can upload photos. It's a really great app. And it's also got an ID guide on it as well. So if you've forgotten your ID guide, or you haven't got any good reception to keep Googling, you can look at it on here. And I think that, oh, look at that. And then you can also use a paper form. Now I'm going to pop in a link when I come out of my screen sharing to Butterfly Conservation's. They've got a website called Urban Butterfly Project, and they've got a recording pack on there, and they've got information on how to record these butterflies. They give you a lot more detail on the iRecord app, and there's a little guide on there of some of the species and things like that. But this is the kind of thing you want to be looking at. You can make your own up if you like. Yeah, so you basically put the butterfly species in, you put your name in, your site name and location, and then you've got your species, you've got your visit 1, visit 2, visit 3, and then obviously you can do, so you've got May, June, July, August, so you need 4 of those really, because you're going once a month, and then you put your species down the side there, and then you tick what you've seen. You put the amount you've seen, so when you see 1, you put 1 dash in, you see 2, etc., etc. And yeah, then you can take that out into the field and then put it in iRecord when you get home on your laptop, which you can also do if you haven't got a smartphone, or you can literally just send in these pieces of paper to London Wildlife Trust or Butterfly Conservation. And that, I'm just going to switch myself back on.
Yay, thank you very much, Sunita.
I'm just going to show you the FSC guide. Sorry, real quick. Sorry, Laura.
No, go ahead.
Interrupt. So this is your FSC guide. Can you see that?
Yeah. This
is a guide to butterflies of Britain and Ireland, and it is brilliant. So it opens up. I'm just going to stand back. It's a huge guide. And it is great in the field. Oh, gosh. Can you see? And it gives you size indication as well, as you can see here. So you've got lots of different you've got the different sizes so you can compare them to each other. It's a fantastic guide. It's waterproof. Not that you'll be going out in the rain because there won't be many butterflies. But yeah, you've got your...
And he's got his there as well.
Oh, look, Ernie's got his. Yeah, it's a brilliant guide. And on the back, it gives you loads of information. Introduction to what are butterflies, butterfly colours, loads of information. They're just really good, and they're really cheap. I think they're only they're not more than £3 or £4, are they, Laura?
No.
I think.
No.
And they're really, really handy if you really want to get into it. When I got this job, I actually had one of these pinned up on my bedroom wall, trying to learn all the 59 species of butterfly. So before I went to bed at night, I'd try and memorise them so it was in my psyche as I was sleeping. That was the idea anyway. So yeah, so these are fantastic. And there's also quite a few books. I'm just seeing, I should have been a bit more prepared, but I've got this book, and it is a little Butterflies of Britain and Europe. It's the Collins Guide. This goes into great detail where you can see them. So, if you think you might have seen a certain species and then you look in this guide and you're like, oh no, it's not found in this part of the world. This is a great book. It's quite heavy though, so recommend this really. So
yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Anita. We did actually get loads of questions throughout that chat, but
okay.
I answered most of them as we went, really. So that's okay. Ernie was super helpful, sending some extra links to the Butterfly Conservation Monitoring Scheme.
Brilliant.
The other links. So thanks so much for popping them in there as well, Ernie.
I'm just going to pop in that link that I mentioned.
I've done that one, Anita, to the Urban Butterfly Project. I popped that one in as well.
Look at her. She's
so yeah, and I also just put in the link to our Brilliant Butterflies website, which has our contact details on and some extra info. So if you've got any more questions, you might be able to find the answer there. And if not, then you can give us a shout on email. We've got, where can we buy the waterproof guide? You can have a little look on the FSC website, but I think you might be able to get it on Amazon. Probably.
Yeah, you can probably get it on that. But I would get it directly from FSC because we don't want to keep giving Amazon on.
No. We've also been asked, can we get a copy of the slide of these talks? What do you think, Sunita? Can we send them around? Or
yeah, I can't see why not. I mean, there's bits of information on there, but most of it was in my head. But yeah, sure, of course. And we'll be putting this recording onto YouTube at some point as well, so you'll be able to refer back to that. But yeah, there's no reason why, if you could email direct, if you could email me direct, brilliantbutterflies@wildlondon.org.uk. Let me just put that in there. Brilliant. And I could send them to you. Yeah, Wild London. Okay. And then I can send you a copy of the slides.
yeah, other than that,
look, I've spelled Brilliant Butterflies wrong. Oh, shocking. I'm tired. I'm just going to do it again.
Other than that,
don't tell the boss.
Everyone's just been very, very thankful, saying great session, learned so much. It's so hard to summarize 59 species in one 1 hour's slideshow. So great job, Sunita. But yeah, there's lots more to know and find out. So do give us a shout if you want any more info.
Yeah, those were just the basic species really that you'll see around your green spaces and that you'll see on some of our reserves. So there are much more species. But yeah, get yourselves one of these and sign up to our newsletter and come on a butterfly walk.
Yes, exactly. That's the best way to learn, isn't it? Out in the field.
Exactly.
I think that was it in terms of questions. We had some people asking the difference between butterflies and moths, which we covered. Some plants which are good for butterflies, which we covered. People asking, how do you record your sightings? But then obviously you covered that at the end there. So I think we answered everyone's questions. Sorry if we missed them, but I don't think there was any others that I could see. And yeah, other than that, have a lovely evening. Keep your eyes peeled for some butterflies, and see you next week for our chalk grassland wildflower ID session. So similar, but for the butterflies food plants. So we'll go from there.